Ms. Lerner, can you give an example of the kinds of redactions that TSA has provided your office with?
Yes.
Can you put the slide back up?
So this is an example. This is one of the attachments to our written submitted testimony. This is an example of the type of document production that we're getting from TSA. And it's a real problem because this document, we believe, would go directly to the issues that we're trying to investigate in the case. Was there a disclosure by the employee? Were they whistleblowing? And what were the reasons that the agency had for taking the action against the whistleblower after they blew the whistle? And when we get a document that's 100% redacted, there's no way we can get to the bottom of the information that we really need.
Does it appear to you at least that the use of the redaction is selective and inconsistent to the point that it might raise suspicion that it's being used to cover up problems at TSA? Would that be fair?
I can't get to what's motivating them in their
just
reasons
asking
for redacting,
appearances.
but it does raise concerns.
Thank you. Dr. Gawadia, is that how you pronounce that? Thank you. Ms. Lerner provided examples of overly broad redactions by TSA. Were you aware that TSA withheld information from the Office of Special Counsel in this manner?
Yes, sir, I am aware that we do assert attorney-client privilege in some instances.
Can you explain why the documents Ms. Lerner has provided today were redacted?
So I do not know the exact specifics of the case that you have put up.
From reading that slide.
Certainly, and we would have to go back into the log and determine the exact nature.
Ms. Lerner stated in her testimony that even the date, author, the recipient of the document were redacted. Can you explain how that information would be privileged?
So again, I don't know the context in which this particular document
I'm not talking about that particular document. There are other documents. Why would you be redacting the date and the author and the recipient? Can you give an explanation of that?
So I believe it might be on a case-by-case basis, those particular
Selective?
issues. I would not say
Inconsistent?
selective, I would say case-by-case.
Well, it appears to be selective and inconsistent. I mean, again, why would you redact the date?
Again, sir, I have no ability to opine on the document put up or in the generalities. It would have to be answered on a case-by-case basis.
You know, you talked about attorney-client privilege. If there were no attorneys present at the meeting, how could TSA possibly invoke attorney-client privilege with respect to the document?
So again, I do not have insight into the particular document you're talking about.
I'm not talking about just that document, but this has gone on with other instances where, in one case, the attorney couldn't even identify the client, yet claimed attorney-client privilege.
So let me go back to the question you asked previously about if the attorney is not in the meeting. It might be that an employee is asking for attorney's advice on something. But again, it's speculative because I don't.
Well, what if the attorney can't identify the client?
I'm not sure where that reference is coming from, sir.
I think we'll get into that later. Ms. Lerner, would you like to comment on that?
So I think really what this boils down to is we don't believe that the attorney-client privilege applies in any for any document request. We are acting in the agency's shoes. This is an intra-agency, intra-government investigation that Congress has asked us to conduct. It's not appropriate for any agency to claim attorney-client privilege when they're producing documents to OSC. It would be the same thing with an IG or GAO. An agency would never claim attorney-client privilege during an IG investigation. It's not appropriate to claim it during an OSC investigation either.
Well, that's part of my problem with this is, as I said, selective use of redaction, the inconsistent use of it, claiming attorney-client privilege. It, with all due respect, it appears that TSA is trying to cover up problems. Mr. Roth, do you have any comment on that?
We've been very fortunate that DHS has taken the policy since I've been there that the attorney-client privilege does not apply to anything that we receive. Of course, they're a little more restrictive on publication because they don't want to breach the attorney-client privilege for a number of reasons, and that's obviously their decision whether or not to do so. But they have taken the position that attorney-client does not bar us from access to information.
Well, I appreciate your answer, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.